Hi friends, long time no see. It's been a while, new location. This is my third attempt at trying to film this video, but I had some time for once this morning before my job interview later, so I thought I would bring out the camera and try it again. Also, do you love my very disappointing iced coffee? It is tasty, it just looks very sad because we have no ice, so it looks very small. Yeah, I think this is going to keep me grounded. I'm glad that I got this. This video is just going to be a bit of a check-in, a bit of a catch-up, let you know how I've been doing. It's probably, hopefully, going to be a short one. I've got bullet points so that I don't waffle. But yeah, because you guys haven't seen my face in a while, I thought I'd just check in and tell you what's been going on a little bit. Yeah, let's just start. So in fact, I'm not even going to say the last few months. This whole year has been a bit crazy. Over the last year in terms of time, but also since the beginning of this calendar year, a lot has happened. And to be honest, I have not been great. There have been some good things, some exciting things, but they've come with their own stresses. And then there's also been a lot of other stressful things, family things, health things, job things. So yeah, I haven't been great, and high key I should have been having therapy for this whole year, but that hasn't worked out. The self-referral system is just whack in this county. I don't know what's going on with that, and I just haven't had the time to book a doctor's appointment to be like, hey. So that's that on that. But I don't want to go into detail about that stuff because that's boring and you don't need to know. But there are a couple of things that have been difficult that are pertinent to what I talk about on this channel, because I'm assuming if you're here you haven't clicked off, you've kind of watched this channel a little bit, so you know that I'm an actor and I talk about theatre things and stuff. And so there are two things that I think are particularly pertinent to what this channel is all about that I want to talk about. The first thing is my relationship with my resting job. And my second thing that I want to talk about is my relationship with my acting job. So yeah, let's get into that. Let's talk about the resting job because it's kind of the thing at the forefront of my mind right now. First off, I do have a video about resting jobs, so I'll link that in the card. I think it's this side, and in the description as well. I did not review my own video in preparation for this, so I hope what's in it is useful and I'm not about to repeat myself. My resting job, my personal resting job, just isn't serving me anymore. Resting job, side hustle, muggle job, rent paying job, whatever you want to call it. It's got to a point where I need to leave, hence why I've got an interview later on this afternoon. So yeah, I've been actively job hunting. If you don't know what my current resting job is, I've mentioned it in passing, I think in a few videos, but my resting job is working front of house in a West End theatre. At the beginning of this year, as soon as I could, because I had an acting job, a small acting job booked in, I went full-time, which me and Josh both went back I mean, Josh was pretty much full-time, but we for the financial goals that we have for this year, we were we just both need to go full-time. I was apprehensive, but at the time I thought that the financial goals that me and Josh have would be enough for me to be okay, I can just power through and just do it. And I think in a different situation, in a different work environment, that would have happened. I'm not a work shy person. I had been casual even pre-COVID, as soon as we got a manager that allowed more front of house to go casual, where you essentially give your availability rather than being expected to work every show. I did, and that was good for my mental health. Before that, I was having panic attacks at work and things like that. So I was apprehensive about going back full time, but I had done it before. I knew it wouldn't be forever, and I was cool, this is what we're doing, and the job's not hard. Working front of house isn't hard. It'll be fine. That has turned out to not be the case, just because the work environment in my place of work at the moment is just very, very toxic. It's not good for anyone. The turnover rate at work at the moment is ridiculous. And there are a lot of issues, both kind of practical and systemic, that are feeding into this low morale at work. And it's just gotten to the point where it's like, this is just not worth it anymore. Just before I started now my job hunting, because I was like, I just need to stay in this job. Like, I can't switch jobs. I can't look for a new resting job because that's going to take up so much effort, and then that could scupper the things that me and Josh are trying to achieve, because it's less like job continuity, and I don't want to be wasting my energy looking for work, so I just have to stay here, but it's making me miserable and I don't know what to do. I was literally sitting crying at the dining room table, and Josh was just like, Michaela, just start looking for another job. We'll make it work. Just start looking for another job. There's other work you can do and we can make it work. And as soon as I started doing that, being at work started to get easier. It's still not easy, but just actively making the choice to take back agency and autonomy to try and get out helped so much. That's kind of the situation with that. It kind of sucks because it is still that thing of like, if anyone has ever done a job hunt, it's not a fun thing to do. My mental health hasn't it has improved a little bit, but it's still bad just because now I don't have any time to rest and enjoy life. So like, that's difficult and that sucks. The things that have been keeping me going are, I'm in the West End Gospel Choir. I rejoined this year, and so I've been making a point of going on Friday to rehearsals, unless I physically can't make it, and making time to touch grass. Like, on a double show day, we only have an hour break in between shows, but if it is not raining, I make a point of leaving the building and going and sitting in the park, and I will sit there until I need to go back. The two main takeaways that I want to share that I've learned, not even just learned, just have become more apparent to me and being like, oh yes, from the resting job experience, is number one, you can always leave. It's very easy to get trapped in binary thinking, especially when it's a resting job, right? Because this isn't just like, you know, this is a job that I'm planning to do for a few years, or an industry that I'm planning to do in a few years, and this is my work. It's like, this is just the job that pays the bills. And so not only do you have the stress of you know, can I get something else, blah, 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 blah. There's also the fact that you don't want to put your energy there. As an actor, I don't want to be worrying about getting another PAYE service job that's probably gonna have just as many of the pros and cons as my current job does. I don't have a career in hospitality or customer service. This is literally a job that I'm doing to pay my bills when I don't have an acting job. So there's that as well, of like not wanting to place your energy somewhere else. And so leaving comes with so many other kind of obstacles and roadblocks, right? The upside is, I guess, for a lot of people, their resting job is less emotionally fraught, right? So they can be like, yeah, I'll get something else because I don't care. I don't have to worry about what my managers are going to think of me or whatever, because I care as much as my contract needs me to for me to stay employed. But on the flip side, there is that worry about, you know, is this where I want to be putting my energy? But it's always an option. And when you're stuck in that with that binary way of thinking of like, I either stick it out or I become unemployed and it's terrible, we forget what other resources we have at our disposal. The other thing that this situation's really brought into stark belief is that resting jobs need to serve you emotionally, and whether they're doing that can change. I kind of knew this. There's a reason why I only worked in a call center for 3 months when I first graduated, and I never went back. Once I got a job and was like out, there's a reason I did not go back to that particular resting job, right? I always thought that the pain points of a resting job would be things like the actual work that you're being asked to do, or external factors of the environment outside of the people you're working with are going to be those pain points. I didn't like working in the call center because I hated selling to people, and I found it soul destroying. The people who I know who for them front of house work wasn't for them is because they were having to deal with watching people on stage whilst they weren't performing, and they couldn't handle that. But that is a fundamental part of working front of house in a theatre, is that at some point you're going to need to sit in and watch people doing what you want to be doing, right? I guess I never accounted for how a resting job makes you feel can change because of the people. I've always felt when people haven't been not nice, what's the word I'm looking for, cordial with me. Like I notice when people don't say hello to me but say hello to everyone else, which is something that's been one of the things that's been happening at work. And it's like, because you all just care about your friends, and work is now a giant clique and not a group of colleagues working together. You know, I try and make a point of, when there's new people, of making them feel welcome. You know, I'll check in on people when I notice that something is wrong. That is just an environment that is completely not being fostered at the moment. That's easier to cope with when you're casual because you're not always there, but when you have to be there all the time and you're just in a negative environment in so many ways, like, and it's not the job, it's the people that you're working with, it's the social environment, and it goes through all levels. So it's not just my colleagues working front of house, it's the supervisors, it's the management, there's systemic problems where I currently work, and there's systemic problems that the people in management, so the supervisors and the managers, from what I can see from where I am, I'm not in the offices, I don't know, but it feels to me like they're under their own stresses, they're not aware of the issues within the front of house team. And like, as in, they're aware, I think they're aware there are issues, they are aware that there's a problem, because when you've hired people a month ago and then a month later you're doing another recruitment when you've had hundreds of applications, like, that's not good. Like, turnover should not be that bad, but it is. But yeah, I don't think management knows how to fix it, and I don't think they realise that their actions are perpetuating it. If I cared enough, I would suggest it, but I'm just trying to get out at this point. Not my circus, well, it is my circus. I want to get out the circus so someone else can deal with the monkeys. But yeah, but one of the things I really think that they need to do is get some external people into work. They recently recruited a new supervisor, and the person that they've hired is lovely, and I like them, and I think, and I was of the opinion that if they were gonna hire from inside the venue, that should be the person. But I also think they should have hired someone from outside the venue, someone with an outside eye coming into the environment, who would be more likely to make changes, because they'll be able to see some of the blind spots that are obviously in the workplace, you know? I think I got a bit too comfortable in thinking, oh, this job will always be there and it will always work for me. And I think just be aware that your side hustle, that's not always going to be the case. Things will change. And that can be a mixture of things. It could be because you've changed. I mean, I'm at a point in my life where, you know, I don't mind customer service, but it would be nice to have some evenings to myself, you know? So yeah, you can change, but also the company can change, the company culture, the company structure, just the people you're working with. And that could get you above that threshold where it's like, okay, this has gone from being a job that's kind of net zero in terms of what it's taking from me versus what it's giving me, to being, okay, it's taking a little bit, but it's nothing that I can't handle, to this is taking so much from me that this is not working for me anymore. If I was to give myself more advice, and this is just because I know I can handle it because I have done it in the past, but like, I'd say to try and keep my fingers in a few more pies. Some of those pies fell off because just the cost benefit analysis of them is like, I'm not getting paid enough for the amount of time this is taking up. So yeah, so there was some stuff like that, but I didn't look to replace those things with things that would work better. I'm not blaming myself for that. There was COVID. I've had a lot of acting work. So like, those things affect how much you can look for resting work, right? But it's something that I'm definitely gonna try and maintain in the future, and what I'm still currently working on. Paying attention when you eat and drink stuff is so grounding. I love it. The second thing that I wanna chat to you guys about is my relationship with acting, and this I definitely need to try not to waffle on. This is something that is an ongoing thing, so just right off the bat, this is not going to be I went through this and now I've come out the other side and I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. My relationship with acting is definitely in a huge transition period right now, for several reasons. The way I'm now describing it as this because I think it works so well. So in religious studies and kind of spirituality circles, there's this thing called the dark night of the soul, which in those contexts usually means either you're having like a radical paradigm shift in your spiritual beliefs, or if you are someone who is more religious, like you follow a set religion, a dark night of the soul can be when you have a huge crisis of faith. And more so the latter, but I think both ways of viewing it kind of work with me in terms of, I think I'm having a dark night of the soul with my relationship to theatre. Except it's been a dark year, probably pushing several years. I think it's something that actually kind of started with COVID and lockdown, and how theatre was affected. It forced not just me, but I think the whole industry to really reevaluate, like, what are we doing? Like, what do we value? And then more recently, since COVID, I've had some really, really difficult jobs that were very difficult emotionally, that had issues, really big issues with, bullying behavior, not feeling safe, people not being treated well, and the companies and producers not being supportive. And also what added to that is that, and this isn't just a since COVID thing, this has just been a trend throughout my career. Not a big sample size, I know. My most prestigious jobs have been the jobs where I've been the most unhappy. That really came to a head in the last year or so, exacerbated by the personal stuff that has also been going on, and stuff that's been going on in the world as well. So you kind of have three things. You have, in my career, I've had these really traumatic experiences that only in the last month or so I've actually been trying to deal with without a therapist. It's so hard. So there's that. Then there's the worry of, if I get good jobs, I'm going to be miserable. Which is very hard when you're being like, okay, I want to earn more and I really want to like work on building my career even more, but then being like, I can't get a decent paid job because then I'll freaking hate it and I'll get mid to high key depressed. So there's that. And then there's also, with everything happening in the world, you've got several active genocides actually. You've got the climate crisis, you've got the political stuff. As I'm filming this is off the back of like all of the far right riots in the UK. Like all of this stuff even if intellectually I know the importance of stories and storytelling and theatre and the role that that can play in the community, intellectually I know that, but it still feels like this is not the most important thing that I could be doing. Especially because as an actor, you have quite limited agency in how you can use your craft to contribute. If you're just acting, like purely just acting, you can only take the jobs that you A, audition for, and then B, get offered to you, right? You do have agency in what you say yes and no to, and you do have some agency in terms of like getting yourself known by the people who are doing the work you want to do. So that's where networking comes in. But I haven't been doing any networking because of the aforementioned traumas and stresses, and I'm getting back into it, but you know, but yeah, you are limited by, you can only take the jobs that you're seen for and are offered to you. And if you're being seen for stuff that doesn't align with kind of everything else that you're seeing, and you're like, that's what's important right now, if you're getting offered the stuff where you're like, this will be good and I'll learn stuff, but in the grand scheme of what's happening in the world, this is not important, what do you do? So all of these things have been going on to the point where I was like, I need a break from theatre, which has kind of accidentally happened because this year has been really slow, and it's only in the last week, sod's law, that auditions have started picking up for me. So I kind of accidentally had a break, but also I wasn't able to use that break to deal with all of this stuff because I didn't know that all of this stuff was actually there consciously. Like, I think subconsciously, obviously, it was there, but like, I hadn't brought that out into the light and been like, let's see what's going on and see if we can fix it. But also seriously considering if I needed a extended break with like a possibly indefinitely from acting, which was scary and sad. I felt very sad about thinking that maybe I wanted to quit. Yeah, it's not been good. I've been thinking about emailing my agent for a while. I do not know if this is going to make it on the internet. There have been several points this year when I've been like, I should just email my agent and tell them what's going on. And I haven't, I think because I'm still afraid. I'm afraid of letting people down, and I'm afraid that they'll just be like, well, we'll just drop you, even though everything that I've been through with my agent, I know that wouldn't happen, and I think they would completely understand. There's still that fear, right? But I'm kind of considering, do I want to take a break until the end of the year? Because then I can just focus on getting this resting job, me and Josh ticking our big financial goal off of the list. And then literally the time from now until, let's say, January next year, I can literally just get back on the wagon of writing to people, getting my skills back up, getting a second show reel done so I can start looking at TV and film, because TV and film pays a darn sight better and would be really helpful. All of that stuff that I've been putting off because I have had this massive inertia because of all of this stuff that has happened, and trying to just get back onto that kind of practical, just one step at a time kind of tasks, and also to think about what I actually want out of my career, because also that's changed. I mean, the absolute like essence of why I wanted to be an actor hasn't changed. Making people feel how I feel when I see something amazing on stage, that hasn't changed. The way that I wanted to do that when I was 15 isn't the way I want to do that now. I don't want to disclose my age on the internet, but like, it's been a long time since I was 15, let's put it that way, a really long time. And so, of course that's different, and it's now got to the point where it's so different, it's now like I need to figure out what it is. There's also a whole other aspect of like, there are just general things, not even to do with COVID or bad jobs or anything like that, where it's like, this is stuff that I actually do need to work through, like my relationship with my voice. The older I get, the more I'm realizing that that is just an emotional thing that like I need to help myself through. I think I always thought that just like one day I would be happy with my voice and I'd be good. And I think subconsciously, this is just turning into a therapy session. I'm so sorry. Editing me, make this entertaining. I think subconsciously I was looking for validation in work, and because I've done more straight acting than musicals, it's like, and also to be honest, I also think part of the straight acting thing was probably oh my god, I feel like pursuing, like, not that I regret pursuing straight acting, I love it, and like I think there's just so much more interesting things on the whole going on in straight theatre than in especially commercial musicals. I don't know if this is going to make this in. Editing me, cut it out if it doesn't make it in. If you don't want this on the internet. My coping mechanism when people just like didn't like me for no apparent reason was, okay, if you don't want me to be around, I'm not gonna put myself in your space. I'm just gonna be over here by myself. And I think that's what I did with musical theatre. I was like, okay, if you don't want me, if I like, for whatever reason you don't like me, then fine, I'm gonna go with the acting kids. I'm gonna do well-made plays and Shakespeare. Also, it's an astute kind of move in terms of, you know, if you can be seen for straight theatre and musicals, why not? It's more work that you can be seen for. So like, I don't regret it in the slightest, and like, it's also kind of a savvy career move if that's what you want to do, but also I think there was a little bit of that. Bringing it back round to the relationship with my voice, yeah, I need to be okay with my voice and love my voice and nurture my voice, and that is an emotional and arguably spiritual thing that I need to do. This is again turned into a waffly video. Yeah, anyway, so the two things that I've learned from this whole experience so far, like I said, this is something that I'm still going through. It's gonna take time. The first thing that I've learned so far from this experience is that firstly, your relationship with your career is active and alive, and it's going to change, and you need to listen to that change. I think that's something that no one really talks about. It's definitely not talked about in drama school because it's like, you're just starting your career, so like, and like, I get it. And I think people talk about changes in career in terms of like pivotal moments, so like big breaks and things like that. I think no one talks about the gradual changes that creep up on you, or at least it has for me. And also, I'd always thought that those changes happen because of big life changes, like, oh, obviously your relationship with your career will change if you decide to have a baby or you get married, or like, you know, those, the big life things where it's like, of course this changes things. I think I'd always seen a career, an acting career, as something that was more static. Not static, that's not the right word. Maybe like forged by you, as in like, rather than it being a, is collaboration the right word? This is all kind of metaphorical, unless you believe in animism and you think a career can have a soul. But like a collaboration, right? I always thought it was more like, I want my career to do this, so I'm going to work to do that. I think there is an element, and whether you believe this is literal or not, I think it's useful to think of your career as a living thing, where it's like, as you go through your career and you go through life and you go through the world, your career and how it's wanting to pull you will be like, it will shift. And I think that manifests itself in the things that you used to care about career-wise don't excite you as much anymore. And I think it's important to listen to that change. I think it can also manifest in you not keeping up the stuff that you need to keep up with. So for me, it was networking. Like until recently, like in the last couple of weeks, I hadn't written to anyone since I'm gonna say the beginning of 2020 pre-COVID, but probably it was before then. And it's not that I had nothing to write about because I got into work quite quickly after COVID. So I had plenty that I could write to people about, invite people to, just say what I've been up to. I got a showreel scene filmed in 2021. I could have written to loads of people about that. I got new headshots in 2021. I could have written to people about that, and I didn't. And I just didn't understand why. That's still something I want to interrogate further as to why, but I think it was a mixture of fear, not realizing the trauma that COVID had put me through, and that I think the whole not networking thing was a symptom of that trauma, and I just didn't put the two and two together. I was less in tune with myself back then. Yeah, but also it's like, who do you write to when you're not sure what you want to be doing in your career? Like, if you want to do film, you write to film casting directors. If you want to do TV, you write to TV casting directors. If you want to do musicals, you write to musical casting directors. If you're not sure what you want to do anymore, who do you write to? You know, if you don't know what your why is, then why are you gonna do that? And I think for me, because I hadn't figured out what was stopping me, I just didn't. And I was getting work, so I think I could tell myself that it didn't matter because I was getting acting jobs. I was being seen for things that my agent submitted me for, and I was getting jobs, so it didn't matter. Some of the stuff was like, you know, getting jobs and being like, I don't know if this is going to be good, so I don't know if I want to invite anyone. There was definitely an element of that. But yeah, I think listen to when things are off and approach those things with curiosity and with love. I think that was my second point, actually. Yeah, literally. Approaching things with curiosity and love. I think it can be really easy to beat ourselves up, and there's plenty of people in the industry that are beating us up anyway. Even if they don't mean to, just the amount of rejection, like it takes its toll. So when you are struggling with things, obviously if you're struggling with things and you're emotionally fraught about it, feel your feelings first, but when you have enough space for that clarity, approach those setbacks or failings with curiosity and love. It's kind of like the whole argument of there's no such thing as laziness, where it's like, people aren't lazy, you know, there's a reason you're procrastinating, and that could be neurodivergence, it could be just like lack of activation energy, it could be a fear that is deep in shadow and you haven't discovered it, let alone integrated it yet. There can be so many reasons, and if you approach whatever it is with that curiosity, then you can better identify what those reasons might be. But it's not easy. God knows it's not easy. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on. And it is 1:20. Yeah, like I said, all of these things are ongoing. At the time of filming this, maybe if I have an update, editing me can jump in. But yeah, in terms of YouTube, obviously all of this stuff has been affecting YouTube, hence why I haven't posted a video in freaking forever. I am working on a video, but sod's law, as soon as I started the video, it's gonna be a longer, when you see it you'll understand, but it's like a longer project type video. Filmed like the opening few shots and stuff, and then that was when it's like all of the job interviews, all of the auditions, dentist appointment, hospital appointment, like all of the things, and I was like, okay, great, I now can't film. Literally, it's been 3 weeks since I started that video, and I just haven't had the time to carry on, but it is coming. Please bear with me. That's another reason I wanted to film this little update video, just so you had something of mine to watch. But yeah, also, I have seen some people reaching out to me on Instagram, particularly about the DYCP video. I'm really sorry I haven't been able to reply. Again, just everything that's been going on in my life, I haven't had the bandwidth to reply to that. Let me know if you would like an update, because I was successful in my DYCP application. I don't know if I ever updated you guys about that, but I did get the funding. So if you guys want a follow-up video about that, then do let me know. But other than that, I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you so much for watching, if you've watched to the end. If you liked this video, or you know, just enjoyed hearing me ramble, consider liking and subscribing. Would love to have you on the channel. Leave a comment if you want more videos like this where I just tell you what's going on. Not that much goes on in my life, but there we go. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose. Yeah, stay tuned for more theatre content from a UK perspective, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, friends!